Namaskar, Acharya ji.
Namaste.
My name is Rashi Goyal. I'm a
Yes.
second year undergraduate student of the
Yes.
Department of Geology and Geophysics at IIT Kharagpur. So my question to you is, when we as an IITian, we had to pass through a phase where we have to be away from being socializing in order to succeed, in order to clear our JEE advance, we need to be more focused towards our studies. But as soon as we enter college, we had a scenario in which we need to be a social person. We need friends. We need people to communicate or express our thoughts. But due to being a loner from a long time, it puts a lot of stress to adapt that habit of being a social person again. So that affects our mental health. So how to overcome this habit of not expressing oneself?
So Rashi, what you're saying is when you were preparing for the JEE, at that time you didn't really socialize, you kept studying, and now when you have entered, yes?
Like when during the J times, what actually happens is we avoid attending marriage and parties. We avoid talking. Like we spend most of the time studying. Like when we wake up, we study. We go to coaching class. We do have some exams or tests, and then we came home. We study again. Then we sleep. This is what our schedule is. But as soon as we enter college, we tend to have other things to do. Like we need to make friends. We need to have someone to listen to our problems.
Now, didn't you have problems when you were preparing for the JEE? What happened then? Who did you go to speak to?
Like generally we used to go to our teachers. Like we because it was a competitive environment, so we used to feel like to talk to a teacher is the best thing. But right now we talk mostly to first towards with our friends, and then we go to a teacher if it's a major issue.
Okay, let me ask you something. How driven and focused did you feel at the time of JEE preparation? Now that you have cleared the JEE, you are in a good position to say. How driven were you?
uh, like I mentioned, I was like completely into the studies.
Completely into studies, right?
Yeah,
And now after entering IIT,
like I'm now bit relaxed that I had at least
which
achieved
semester?
some.
Which semester are you from, Rashi?
Right now I'm in my second year. I will be having my fourth semester from January.
If it's not very personal, may I ask your CGPA?
Yeah, it's right now it's near about 8.5.
And 8.5 means what? DR 5, 10, 15?
Sir, I'm not sure about that.
You'd have been very sure of your percentile and rank when you were preparing for the JEE, right? What do they call it in IIT Kharagpur? They don't call it DR, departmental rank. What is it called there?
We call it DR.
You call it DR, right? So the tradition continues. See, the thing is, you had a purpose then. So you didn't need to socialize. And that purpose is bigger than the company of any of these friends and all. Now you are in IIT and there are so many other things to do, we all know of them. So you are saying, oh my God, I just kept studying, I didn't develop my so-called soft skills, I'm not very good at communication, I must talk a lot, I must be attractive to others, I must get the best company possible, and by best what we mean is the most glamorous. What do you mean by social skills? You're a human being, right? You're a human being. If somebody is worth it, there would be a relationship. What do you mean by social skills? What do you? It's just the absence of a purpose now. Give yourself a purpose. You do not need to be great at socializing. Let the purpose decide the kind of company you are to get, and if you have a great purpose, you will get just the right company. What happens is, once you enter IIT, placement is almost guaranteed. So, that bogey is off your mind. You do not have to clear the JEE once again, and because everybody gets into a relaxed mode once you enter the campus. Therefore, even with very modest kind of effort, you can have a decent CGPA and a decent rank, right? That has been happening since ages, that has been happening across all IITs. So, you will have to agree to what I am saying.
Yes.
What you lack now is the same fire that you had at the time of JEE preparation. At that time, it was like, I have to get in, and if I do not get in, I am losing on something very, very important. In contrast, right now your statement is, I already have what is important, therefore, let me get into other things that offer pleasure and fun and excitement and the rest of it. No, you have not attained anything yet. Let that be very clear to you. Clearing the JEE is nothing. Clearing the JEE at best guarantees you bread and butter and an upper middle class kind of life. Does not mean much. There is a long distance to cover, and especially as a woman in Indian conditions, you have to keep sprinting. You cannot reduce your pace, you cannot let your guard down. You cannot start seeking company and socialization and relationships, because all of this ultimately leads to that one thing that we can call as the final bondage. Why do you want to go towards that? Be a scholar rather than the sensation on the campus. But that is what we want to be called, right? Mr. Campus or Miss Campus, rather than the best scholar out there. And if you have to do something apart from your studies, there are so many co-curriculars to choose from. I am sure KGP campus offers at least 10 different kinds of sports and great infrastructure, debating, dramatics. That is one good thing about being in an IIT campus. You get exposure to so many things that are usually not available to the common student. Excel in them. Socialization, etc., carry next to zero value, and as I said, if what you are doing carries value and importance, socialization, the right kind of socialization will happen on its own. You will get the right kind of company, be totally devoted to your work and to your purpose, and some person or a group of persons cannot be the purpose in your life. I say that to everybody, and when I am addressing a girl, I say that with heightened emphasis. Forget all this, please. I have seen what now, an entire generation of IITians pass through in front of my eyes. Do not get into that same old kind of trap. It firstly leads to mediocrity, and then it leads to bondages. Learn to excel, keep the fire burning. If you are in IIT, I am pretty sure your rank would have been in the top 1 percentile. Obviously, it has to be top 1 percentile or 1.5 or 0.5, whatever. So, that benchmark has to be maintained. Tell me, since the last 2 years, what is it that you belong to the top 1 percentile of? J was the last thing you excelled at, right? Tell me, what is it that you have added to your kitty post the J? Are you 1%, top 1% in swimming, 1% in debating, in dramatics, in tennis, in what?
Nothing.
And that which you are seeking now will push you, I said, deeper into mediocrity. Do you want to be among those students of your class who used to obtain 50, 60, 70% or 75, 80% and were satisfied with that? Do you want to be counted among them, please?
No, sir.
Yes. So, maintain the J-like spirit throughout your life. You have to excel. Relationships and such thing, let the mediocre ones count them as their priority. Read a lot. You would have poured into the books and burned the midnight oil. And since entering the campus, how much have you really read? And even if you have read, I am sure it mostly belongs to the technical genre, right?
Yes, sir.
And now the entire world's literature is waiting for you. When will you read that? When will you read that? And if you do not read that, don't you see you will be missing out on so much? What can the company of a common second or third year student give you? Don't you want to learn from the great philosophers, the great writers? Don't you want to be with them? But you see, it's the body. We want a living being, the warmth of another living body. That's what this body craves for. So, even if you must have that, then let that be secondary to your purpose, goal and work. Choose the company of those who assist in your work. Choose the company of those who are aligned with your work. Persons must be way down in your priority. Remember who you are. You are someone who must excel. You are someone who must know, learn, realize and ultimately be liberated. And this fact of central identity of yours must govern all your life decisions.